This episode of Jump Off Point is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the Boss Rush family of podcasts, head to bossrush.net or our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for helping us build something better.
Hello everybody, welcome to Jump Off Point here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host and Lights Excited Eddie V. Joining me is the wise Wisconsinite himself, Mr. Jesse Douglas. Hello, good sir.
How's it going, guys?
Yes, we got the wise Wrestle Knight, Mr. Josh Martinez.
What's going on, guys?
And of course, we got the just beautiful, the lovely, the sophisticated, the derriere, Skinny Matt himself, Mr. Matt.
I'm
Hello,
the derriere. I'm the derriere. Why, hello there. Salutations. No, what's going on?
Hello, guys. We are back in the building for this episode. Matt, you're back with us. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me again. I'm glad you're able to put up with my crap. So.
And Josh, thank you also for joining us again.
No, happy to be back. This is fun, Ed. We got some fun things to talk about tonight.
Yes, everybody. So we just got done celebrating Easter. I celebrated my birthday. By the time you guys see this, we will know more information about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because Nintendo announced that they're doing a 3-minute trailer. I'm super excited to see what they have planned. We don't know what kind of trailer it will be, if it's going to be story-based, if it's going to be more hidden parts that's going to be for the first time revealed. So by the time you guys see this, we will already know the answer, but we are super excited to know that Tears of the Kingdom is 1 month away at this time of this recording. Probably by the time it comes out, the game may be out and we'll all may be playing it. Definitely, I know it's a big thing here at Boss Rush, so I'm super excited about that.
Can we all take a minute to appreciate the fact that Nintendo came in and swooped in on Sony's big Final Fantasy 16 day? I loved seeing that they did that. It was so funny to me that Sony announced their big gameplay thing. Was it like 20 minutes of Final Fantasy 16? And the only other game that I think right now that could beat it in anticipation is Tears of the Kingdom. And Nintendo's like, yeah, we doing it. We're going to drop a 3-minute trailer and steal the day from Square Enix. I love it. It made me laugh so hard when I saw how that all worked out.
And look, Nintendo, I think Nintendo of America, I think on their Twitter page also have a trailer where you see Link on the mountain or wherever cliff, and then it spreads out to him seeing the whole view, and it says 1 month to go. Like, Nintendo is getting literally in marketing mode, which is weird because next week, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp drops, and so you think Nintendo would be focusing on that? Nope, they're getting ready for Tears of the Kingdom. So super excited. With all that being said, I'm going to start with you, Jesse. What's been jumping in your gaming or your TV watching?
All right, so I've basically I haven't played a whole lot. I've just kind of been playing a little Fortnite with the kids, which is pretty usual. That's usually what we do when we get a chance. Because we all, I'll usually get them both the season pass so they can unlock stuff or whatever, the battle pass or whatever it's called, and then we'll play together, or they've got friends from school or whatever that they play with, or every once in a while, Dad will join them and get his butt kicked. But actually, to be honest, so I keep up with them pretty well, but I mean that's probably not going to last much longer. I'll enjoy it while it lasts.
It's
Eventually
like
they'll
that
only get
moment when
better.
it's like that moment when the kids can beat their dad finally at basketball. It's
Yep.
it's a
And
very
hey, and
sad
I
moment.
welcome it. I welcome it though. Like like if they can do better than me at something, I say good on them. you know.
See, this is the funny thing though. But Jesse is a master at first person shooters and multiplayer. Like he is
Well,
the
I
pro
wouldn't say
fist.
I'm a master.
Come on, Jesse. All those nights that I've been watching you play Call of Duty, and like just how amazing you are.
I
Come
know,
on,
but there's I still would never be able
come
to
on,
compete in
take these props. Take this praise. Take these props that I'm giving you. You are amazing at first person shooter multiplayer.
maybe above average at best.
But do you play in no? But do you play in no build mode?
Yeah,
Yeah,
mostly.
that's the way to go.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, the kids, if they want to play in build mode, that's fine. I just never built. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. A lot of my wins have been just standing there while someone builds this like skyscraper in front of me, and I just blow it up, and then they fall to their death, and I'm just like, huh. Yeah, and where did
Ha.
that get you?
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
fun. It's fun when you get the opportunity to do that in build mode. They're building crazy, and I just take out because all you got to do is take out the bottom part, and then the whole thing collapses. And unless they can catch themselves before hitting the ground, build and before hitting the ground. And usually, if you're too high, it doesn't matter. You're gonna fall to your death either way, even if you are able to build before you hit the ground. So yeah, it's fun. I love I love when you get that opportunity if someone builds this massive tower and then you just take it out and you just watch them fall to their death and just be
wow.
like, yeah, exactly.
All right.
But
Well, Josh, what's been jumping in your gaming or TV watching?
So I tweeted this out. I've been playing through WWE 2K23 a lot. I've just barely beat the showcase mode, which was all about John Cena. And boy, is WWE self aware. So the final boss for this mode is an invisible John Cena because of all those memes where you can't see him.
yeah.
And if there's two pictures of there's two people in the picture and one of them's John Cena, everybody's like, I only see one person. Why is that person posing by themselves? So WWE put in an invisible John Cena. So it's literally just an invisible figure, hat, armbands, the jorts, all of it. And it's just like, and it's the hardest thing. It's the only character that's hit 100 on its rating. So it was actually a big challenge, but it was just such nonsense that it was just so much fun to
That's
just.
great.
It was also hard because I couldn't even figure out where to grab him. I'd miss him half the time just because my depth was off. But man, that was like when I saw that come up, I just laughed so hard. I knew it was coming, but it just was so funny to see it finally there. That this company became so self aware that they're like, yeah, we're gonna make fun of John Cena for a whole level. So
That's nice.
there was that, and I watched an old 2000 wrestling match between The Rock and Triple H, the Iron Man match. That was an hour long, and The Undertaker returned in his biker gimmick, and that was a blast. And nobody who doesn't know anything about wrestling knows what this all means, but it was a blast for me to watch something that's 23 years old at this point.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I actually watched. So I fell down the rabbit hole and watched something wrestling the other day too because I've been trying to watch. I haven't finished it yet. I still got to finish the Sundays part of WrestleMania because I didn't realize it was on Peacock, and I
Mm-hmm.
have a free couple day subscription to Peacock, so I want to try to finish watching it before it's up. But I fell down a rabbit hole and I was watching some behind the scenes stuff about the match between Raven and Sandman when Raven put Sandman on a cross and then put the barbed wire like crown on him and all that
Uh-huh.
stuff, and everyone was so mad and like, oh, you're attacking our religion and this and that, and like supposedly the people in ECW didn't know that they were going to do that and all that, and
That's right.
they were trying to impress Kurt Angle at the time because he was going to possibly join ECW, but and then ended up going to WWE or WWF or whatever it was at the time,
Mhm.
and he was really upset that they did that. But then it was funny. Raven and them were like, "Do you think he made a big deal about that when he went to WWE and Undertaker did the same exact thing like 2 weeks later?"
Yeah,
No, he didn't.
he crucified. He didn't do it on the cross, but he
Yeah,
crucified Stone Cold on the Undertaker symbol with
yeah,
like
which is
fire
basically
and
a cross.
yeah. Well, and then
It's
after
like
that too, The Rock crucified the Undertaker on the Brahma Bull logo, which I'm like,
yeah.
man, what was our obsession in 1999 with just everybody crucifying everybody? We were,
Well,
man,
yeah,
we were edgy in the late 90s.
yep. Well, I mean, what is it?
That's how
May Young
wrestling
that gave
was.
Well, and May Young gave birth to a hand. Was it May Young or was it Fabulous Moolah?
Yeah,
Or whatever
that's
she gave birth to a hand. That was still one of the most greatest moments ever of just pure stupid. What did I just watch? A
dude.
90-year-old woman just gave birth to a hand.
Nobody has any explanation for that at all. Like,
Yeah,
no, Mark Henry has no idea why they did that. Even to this day, they're like, I don't know why we did it. It just and here's the crazy thing: if you watch some of this behind the scenes stuff, Mae Young is like pretty crazy. Like, there's one clip of Bubba Ray Dudley power bombing her through a table, and she told it because he was going to try and do it gently, take care of her, and she like grabbed him by the ear, was like, listen here, you SOB, if you do not throw me through this table like you would anybody else, it will not work and it will look awful, so do it right or don't do it at all. And he did it all right and like went through the table. I'm like, man, Mae Young was crazy. She's
Mm.
Anyway, there's a tangent for you, Ed.
Well, Matt.
I'm back. I lost everything. I hope everything's still set up right.
Yeah. No, everything is good. Everything is all good.
Again,
So, what's been jumping in your gaming or TV?
the gaming, I sound like a broken record. There's been Sea of Thieves with the oldest kid. There's been
nice.
Dredge, which I actually streamed for a couple hours Sunday night. I actually started a whole new game because I screwed something up on my original game. But the big thing that's been happening more is the family game night stuff with the tabletop games. And I just got after the youngest gets to bed, he's only 5. So with the 8, the 16, and my wife, they just finished their first quest in Hero Quest. If anybody remembers that game.
Nice.
Yeah, because they re-released it last year after Milton Bradley made their little D&D attempt, 30 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up managing to get a copy of the new version, and they finally finished their first quest. So my oldest has been wanting to play D&D. I tried to do character creation with the whole family to get them involved. It was just too complicated. Plus, I didn't know what I was doing. I played Hero Quest 30 years ago. So I'm kind of running that. But the best part is my 8-year-old, she is loving it. So she's like smiling the whole time.
That's awesome. Yes.
So yeah, that's about what's been going on around here for the game wise.
Okay. Well, for me, I've been playing Streets of Rage 4, checking out the new update, seeing if I could get like more combos and everything, enjoying that. There's some purchasing on my Series X, but the bad part is that like my Yakuza games that I all have, I still need to buy the new one and everything. But I got to take them all off my system so I can have space because I got to install Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I got to play that all the way, beat it so I could be ready for the new Jedi game that's coming out next week.
Well, if you still have an external hard drive, like a regular one from a computer, You can still transfer it to it, so you don't have to delete it and re-download it. There's just some games you can't. Most games you can't play off the external, so you can just swap games back and forth. Because I've had a game like one time I had off my Series X, I had to do that, and it took, instead of re-downloading over 45 minutes, it transferred the game over in about 45 seconds. So just might want to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead, Jesse.
I was just gonna say, like I'm mostly an Xbox guy. If you know me, you know that. But I will admit that it kind of sucks right now that it's way cheaper to expand that hard drive space on the PS5 right now than it is to do it on the Xbox. They're still
With the SSD?
charging a lot. Yeah, they're still charging a lot of money for those cards, and the options for PlayStation 5 keep getting lower and lower. So
you got that new version coming out that someone announced that's been teased. That's supposed to be cheaper than the Seagate. So
the thing with Xbox and PlayStation right now, I think, like, for their new gen versions, there's still just not a lot of games. So you can still just delete, upload, install, and everything. And as much as people don't replay a lot of games on these consoles compared to like Switch, it's just, for some people, they just said it's been easier to take some stuff down, take some stuff off that they have brought. I'm not speaking about Game Pass or anything. I'm just talking about more about the games that people bought. Because with my Yakuza games, of course, they're all digital because there's no physical versions of them on Xbox or PlayStation. So I have them all lined up because I want to go through the whole series. But I'm just like, just to have space, I could take them all off, put on the Star Wars, beat that, and then take it off, and then be ready for the next one, because I still got to run through Resident Evil 4. Like I said, Star Wars, I got to get ready for Redfall. And literally after Redfall, there's nothing else for Xbox at this time that I need to be looking forward to getting, because it's going to be all pretty much Nintendo, in a sense. So
and that's like, for me, obviously, like, my Xbox is my main, so I'm going to use more space on that, just in general, because that's where all my main games are, like my main stuff I'm playing. But
a lot of my main stuff is from my Xbox One era of games. So I do have games that could be on Xbox One, but I also have that Series X version and everything. So, like, I know Redfall is strictly for Series X, so that's kind of like going to be one of the games with also Resident Evil 4 remake, where it's just like it's strictly Series X or S and everything. Go ahead.
I say there's a lot more of those games coming up, because even Hi-Fi Rush is not playable on the One. You can stream it. But,
yeah. And that one didn't really take that much space up, and I think it's because of the graphic style that they chose and everything. And
it was only a half an hour long game, wasn't it?
No, that game is about I think it's like 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hi-Fi Rush? Oh no, that's a full.
Oh, I thought it was only a couple hours long. Yeah.
It's 10 levels, but trying to find everything, and then there's some replay value, because part of the levels that some parts of the levels are closed until you beat the game, and then they open up, and there's challenges that you can do. Just
to let you know, it varies according to how long to beat. It's 11 hours for the main story, but it's 48 and a half hours for completionist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to collect.
I don't know why I thought I was hearing that was like a really short game, but okay.
It's still 11 hours to beat it. I mean,
yeah.
It's short in the fact that if you just play it straight through and you beat stuff like on this first try, it's gonna be, and like you don't really do that much upgrading, or you upgrade to the stuff that you need. It's not too long of a game. A lot of games that's like 6 to 8 hours. They consider that as short, that you could like run it
Yeah,
through a weekend. But
yeah.
that like
I was
final
gonna
boss,
say 4 to 6 hours to me is short. Anything after that is like just right in my opinion. I don't like games that are too long because I can lose I can lose attention with stuff really easily. So
Yeah,
so
that's my problem as an RPG lover. I love these games, and they tend to be really long. I mean, I beat Final Fantasy VIII earlier this year, and I think I clocked in about 70 hours on that game.
I
But
understand.
it
That
took me like
questionable concept of a game.
okay, I agree on the questionable content, but that's got a good soundtrack. That's got a great soundtrack for a Final Fantasy game.
That game is
Yeah,
better than
this
people give it credit for.
I will
it's
say I was in the middle. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it
It's
like a
not
lot of people
bad.
do. Right.
I
It's like Cars 2 with Pixar. It's
I
Oh, I
think
okay.
when
watched
it
that
comes
movie so much that I ended up liking it
I
now.
think when it comes to modern, I'm gonna say modern Final Fantasy starting with 7. I think 8 is the worst out of all of them, and
But
I think they messed it up because of the combat.
The
That
like the
combat with
junctioning the magic.
the junction, the way that you try to upgrade weapons and buying magazines, and that thing is a mess. I tried my hardest to get through Final Fantasy 8, and I just couldn't do it. And then I found out, because my friend, he was playing it, that there is one boss that locks you out from using magic. So if you haven't upgraded your physical attacks, you're not doing no damage, and he can literally wipe you out. I'm like, that is a mess of a
And I
system.
and I think too the enemies scale with you. So like as the higher levels you get, then the enemies get harder. And I think that's similar to Final Fantasy 2 did that as
Mm.
well. But yeah, I've only played two Final Fantasy games, 7 and 8. Nine's next on my list, which yes, Dan Murphy, that's his all-time favorite game.
9 is
So
good. I would
I'm
say
excited
6
to
is
9
play
still
is.
that one.
better.
Which one? 6?
6 is still better.
Dude, I'm
For the
excited for
for the
these
sprite
pixel
wise, yes.
remasters.
tactics all the way.
All right, LeBron and Dan.
Uh,
But everybody, that's gonna be it for what's jumping. Now it's time to point it out. So, Matt, I'm gonna start with you. What is the one trend that you want to talk about?
well, since we already hammered on Xbox some tonight, let's go with the let's see. PS5 is actually trending, but it actually has to do more with PS Plus. And everyone's complaining because of the fact that it's come out that the Sony exclusive Spider-Man is leaving PS Plus. So, I mean, everyone knows, everyone compares, it's supposed to, quote, compete with Game Pass. All the Xbox Game Pass games are day and date and forever on there, with the exception of which it wasn't really it's really a second party game when you have with, what's the Remedy game? That they just announced they pulled off due
Quantum
to
Break.
licensing. I'm sorry?
Was it Quantum
Oh,
Break?
Alan
Yeah,
Wake.
Quantum Break. Quantum
Oh,
Break.
Alan Wake.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, I totally
Oh,
blanked
okay.
on the name. But they said that one's coming back. But like, they're pulling. Why are they pulling Spider-Man off? I really don't know.
I mean, I think it's and I don't agree with it, but I think it's probably some kind of build anticipation thing because Spider-Man 2 is probably, they don't have anything announced, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to get something here in the next couple months. Because I mean, they do one of two things because they put Horizon Forbidden West on PS Plus right ahead of this Call of the Mountain, the VR stuff, as well as the Burning Shores DLC. Obviously, if you haven't played Forbidden West, play it so you can get the DLC and the VR game. On the other hand, it looks like they're trying to do this thing here where they're like, well, we're going to get Spider-Man 2 eventually, but until then, let's build some anticipation by making you have to buy Spider-Man 1. Because I don't think
Well,
Miles Morales is going anywhere. I think it's just the Spider-Man one, right?
I believe that's the case.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And see, Sony's not doing day one for a PlayStation Plus, like your
Correct.
essentials and stuff. Like, so when their game come out, you know, they're opposite of what Microsoft does with their first party. So if their games do come to PlayStation Plus, it's going to be 3 to 6 months after that game has been out.
Right.
Yeah.
They're waiting after that quote unquote release window, end quote.
Yeah.
Well, they did do that. Was it an indie game, Tachia, but like that's like the only day one. That's the only like day one stuff. It's been I think an indie title here and there. They've never done any other first party stuff straight to PS Plus. And I mean that Tachia game looked good, but I mean it's not your Spider-Man. It's not your any whatever other games coming.
But it's not a first party game either.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and that's the thing about it. This is my thing, because there was a Boss Rush banner talking about, is Game Pass, you know, the best deal. And I think anyone who does a subscription service and they going to be put it on games and take it off games, I think the subscriber needs to know that these games are always going to be limited on these platforms. So if you want to play them and finish them. Like, just be committed and to play them. Because the thing about it is, people don't think that, oh, I'll download it and it'll just be there, and then literally forget about it and stuff. So I think if people are upset that Spider-Man is leaving PlayStation Plus, the game's been out for almost 2.5 years. You know, it's nothing new that this game hasn't been out. You probably could go to GameStop and get it for like $10. You know, like,
well, half their other games go on sale super cheap. Like they drop pretty easily.
Right, you probably could get, like, God of War was like, it's like only $10 for the 2018 one physical. It's just like, the heck, how did a $59.99 game go to $10? You know,
that's crazy.
Like, so it's
like an Ubisoft deal there.
Oh yeah, oh shoot, Ubisoft and those Assassin's Creed games are always on sale.
I mean, what, you can get a trilogy for like $9? That's like $3 a Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah. I would never buy an Ubisoft game day one. I mean, even Sparks of Hope. I mean, I bought it for $30 a month later.
If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushMedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.
That is true. So, I just don't know why people are upset about this and everything. You know what you was getting. They spilled it out for you. They didn't hide nothing from you. So why be mad that they're taking a game that's been out for 2 or 3 plus some years?
Well, here's the thing. Sony has never said that their first party games will always be on there either.
Mm-hmm. True.
So everyone's getting upset on something that was never said. It's almost like, you know, Nintendo fanboys. They get upset because it's something they build up their expectations on something when it's not announced. They get upset, but Nintendo never said they were going to even hint that they were going to do that. So,
well, and I look at these services, Game Pass, PS Plus. It's just like Netflix. Stuff rotates in and out of that all the time. You know, obviously they have their original content, but that's, you know, they could pull that at any time they want to. I think HBO's pulled some of its original content off of HBO Max in recent years. What was it? Westworld got pulled off, and that's an HBO original. So, I mean, these companies do it. Why should we expect that it's not going to happen to
pulling stuff? HBO been pulling stuff off for no necessary reason.
Well, I think it's because they're doing this HBO Max and Discovery Plus merger for their service, which was what was rumored for months. I don't agree with it. I think it's kind of weird because Netflix never pulls its stuff off. But I mean, the point is they can do that whenever they want, and
Yeah.
I think in gaming we get a little like, well, why are they doing this to us? Because Spider-Man should be there forever. But I mean, Sony's been doing this for a couple months now. They pull that PS Plus collection that's supposed to sunset in May, which has got like all those PS4 games.
Yep.
They've pulled some others, but then on the flip side, they put Horizon Forbidden West out there a year after it came out. Like it's give and take, and it kind of we focus on what's leaving and forget that it's kind of a give and take throughout the whole service of it.
I I just think PlayStation Essential and Game Pass is really just unnecessary at this point in time. Because the thing about it is that if I know people say they love it, that's fine. I know I'll get flack for it. But my thing is, A, how many games do you finish off of using that service? B, I know that I know that Nintendo may not have a lot or anything, but how many people talk about the games on in not in so the games on Game Pass and PlayStation PlayStation Plus that they're really looking forward to after they get announced, and even at the announcement, are people going to be playing it? Because to me, I think for some players, they just like having it and treating it as a demo station. And it's just like you're paying money for demos because you don't like it. Well, I'm like, it's not saving you anything because you're paying something per month to demo something. No, finish completely.
See, I will disagree with you to a point because I'm someone I grew up because I'm old as I don't know what's this podcast rated PG. I'll be nice because I'm old as crap. I'll put it that way. See, I grew up, I didn't, when you got 2 Nintendo games a year, one on your birthday, one at Christmas.
Christmas, yes.
But the thing is, you rented a lot of games, so you never went and bought a game without playing it. Mm-hmm. You would rent it, and if you liked it, you'd say, "I want this for Christmas." Well, I say that as someone who wanted Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy III, got those without renting them, but those are a little different. But like as someone who loves Game Pass, because there's a lot of games I would never play if they weren't on Game Pass. There's a ton of games I would have never played. I would have never played Yakuza. I started dabbling with is it Yakuza or Yakuza? I can barely.
It's Yakuza, but I call it Yakuza.
Is it Yakuza? So Zero was on Game Pass and went away. It came back. I played it when it was on Game Pass. I played it for a couple hours. I really liked it. When they were announcing they were pulling it off, I bought it because you got the discount. Mm-hmm. Well, a year later, the Kiwami collection, all the other Yakuza games went on sale. I bought the entire Yakuza Kiwami / Zero, the whole quote modern versions of them.
Yeah,
I think I paid maybe $35 for everything, and that number is probably high on what I'm estimating. So I love Game Pass. If I'll even talk to people because I'll go into places and someone will say, "Oh, what should I get for my kid?" And it's like, well, if it's a young person, I just say Nintendo. If you want more family oriented, if they're older, I actually suggest Xbox because of Game Pass. Well, this is going to change with the family plan, but last time I bought a year of Game Pass Ultimate, because I waited till a sale when they were doing the Black Friday sales, I bought 2 years for like $130. Mm-hmm. If they're charging $70 for a full price game now, for less than 2 full price games, I got 2 years. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, if you're going to sit there and do the subscription at full price for either PS Plus or Game Pass,
But I
No,
think
you're not doing it right.
But I think my thing is for me, and Josh, I'll let you talk. I think that my thing is that yes, it is a bang for your buck, but I don't think you're getting the full benefit until you start finishing a game. Because what is the point of having us? What is the point of a subscription offering you a ton of options, and out of those options, you may do 3 or 5, and you continue to repeat those
Because
same
it's
playing
Mhm.
games.
because it's one, human nature is you don't like change. Two, I mean, I sit there and say that I own Sea of Thieves. I've put I don't know how many hours into that game,
Hmm.
but like, but like the games, I'm that person that when I really start putting a lot of hours in the games, I will actually buy them.
Mhm.
I may wait for a sale, but I will actually get them. Maybe I'm a little different in that because like I said, I'm old. But like the thing is, you if you just have a few games to pick from, you're having so much option gives you something for everybody. And I think one of the biggest things with Game Pass, the best thing for that is the exposure of indie games. There's a lot of amazing indie games. A lot of people would have never discovered, never played, and never touched if they weren't on Game Pass. I would have never touched Coffee Talk if it wasn't on Game Pass. Actually, Games with Gold.
Mhm.
Wow, that one came to Games with Gold a while ago.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, and to the detriment at the same time, I know a lot of people who will have indie games coming to Switch and like, that's coming to Xbox. I'm gonna wait because it's eventually gonna come to Game Pass. Undertale is eventually there. I mean, yes, it's an older game and it's fantastic. I think it actually just left or is leaving. I don't even know. I own it on both Switch and Xbox. But like,
Hmm.
there's a lot of indie games that would not get the exposure without Game Pass or PS Plus.
But
Everyone
is it?
forgets. Look at Fall Guys is free to play. If it wasn't for PS Plus, nobody would have touched it.
But do you think
When it,
that? Do you think for the indie portion of Game Pass, is it because it is if a game came out, it's been on Nintendo? I'm gonna go with Switch because at the time, indie games were leading on Switch, and people were
right,
double dipping like crazy on Switch. Knowing good and well that if it does have Game Pass and people say, well, I wouldn't touch it, but I'm gonna touch it when it comes to Game Pass. But you already know that it's been out. You made that
but
personal decision not to touch it.
but the thing is, at the same time, is what we don't know is what is Microsoft paying these developers. We don't know if they're paying to put the game on. We don't
Mm,
know if they're paying by hours played. And there's actually, it's business. There are some indie people where maybe, hey, we made enough money, we made our money back on Switch, let's put on Game Pass and get a little extra money. Or from what I'm hearing from some people, allegedly is by putting it on Game Pass, it's boosting sales in other places. But the thing is, Microsoft has not been fully releasing the numbers, which I'm not going to fault them for that because I guarantee they're making individual deals with different companies.
yeah,
So
their numbers now is about how
their
many
deal
people
this
are
person's
playing
probably
in
getting paid by
hours.
hour played. This
Yeah.
game's probably getting a flat. Here's $15,000. I'm pulling a total random number out of my butt because that's a very high number. But you know,
Okay, Josh, what you gonna say? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. So, kind of piggybacking off of that, I come from a background in journalism. I've worked in newspapers, and I promise this ties in. But a lot of photographers will want to just get their pictures into like the local papers or even some of the
Hmm.
big name ones just for the name recognition. Because if they can say, "Oh, look, I was published in the Los Angeles Times, I was published in the Salt Lake Tribune," whatever it is, then that reflects good because you can say, okay, well, if this person's good enough to show up in the Tribune or the Times, then maybe they're good enough to hire and then they get better rates rather than freely giving away their photos. I agree
Hmm.
with Matt in that sense that, these indie developers, if they can get it up there and even if they're taking a discount to put it on Game Pass, PS Plus, I think in the long run it benefits it because you're putting the name out there and there's some credence behind it because people might not go buy it otherwise. If it's good enough to show up on Game Pass, maybe those who don't have an Xbox say, "Hey, that's that game that everybody's playing on Game Pass. Maybe I should fork out the $5 to $10 to grab it." So I agree with Matt in that sense too. And where I was going to go with the subscription, for me, PS Plus is really beneficial because, and I don't know how many people are in this boat with me. I'm brand new to Sony. So I
Mm-hmm.
have never had a Sony console. I've never had a PlayStation. And so getting the PS, I did a year of the, what was it, the middle tier, the extra PS Plus
I
subscription.
think so. Yeah.
And then I've got access to a lot of games that I've missed over the years, whether it's the Uncharted games, The Last of Us, Spider Man for a month now. I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn on there, which was a game I completely missed. And for me personally, it's been so helpful to have all these older games, older by they're not that old, but they're all in one place, and I can play them. And as Matt said, if I complete two of these games in 1 year, I'll have paid for this service off because it's $100 for a year of the PS Plus Extra. So if I
Mhm.
beat once I beat Horizon Zero Dawn, which I think was retailed at $60, one
When
more
they originally
game,
came out, yes.
yeah. So one more game of that, it'll have paid itself off.
Mhm.
You know, I see it as a benefit of that because once I do get through a lot of these older games, I plan to probably drop the service because I won't have much need for that. I accept that I probably won't get through as many as I would like, but you know,
Mhm.
But
that's the service for
Nobody
me.
gets the games they even pay for.
and,
That's the
and
Right.
thing.
I think and I think that's why when it comes to playing games on these services and when it comes to time, I think you can dedicate time to multiple games instead of one game, even though and I'm not factoring family, I'm not factoring work, I'm not factoring any of that stuff in. I'm factoring in the time that if you if you are spending one part of if you're spending 45 hours per week in Sea of Thieves for almost 2.5 months, you could have beat that same you could have beat other games that's on that service in that same amount of time.
Yeah,
So
but you also are
it's
getting a lot of expansion stuff, and that's the thing too. Is I just wanted to say really quick, like one of the benefits I've been getting from the Game Pass stuff lately
Mhm.
is
Oh,
one of my favorite games um, of the past couple of years actually has gotten a whole bunch of add-ons, and I didn't buy any of them,
mhm.
but they added them recently to the Game Pass stuff, and I downloaded them, and now I've been playing that game again, but I have a whole bunch of new content in that game that I've already beat that I can play it now, and I got that for free, because I had Game Pass, and that's the um, Far Cry 5. They added a whole
Burger
like
Farm.
a whole bunch. Yeah, a whole bunch of the extra content stuff recently. They put in the now where you can get like 3 months free of HBO Max, or you can get three
Mm.
months free of Spotify, or you can get 3 months of this. Or, they're adding all these things like that now that are giving it even more of worth your money that you're spending every month as well. There's things like perks like that you're getting now too on top of the games. So honestly, I can't believe that they haven't upped the prices yet for Game Pass. Since they've been adding all that new stuff like that, because I mean
I think
that
it's
that
because they
really,
got
in my opinion,
I think because they got more people with Ultimate, so it's
yeah,
probably covering a lot. People who
yeah,
are getting Game Pass, they're just getting like the Ultimate and stuff because
yeah.
it's like $15 a month. So if you look at
Well,
it, that's like $120 a year
yeah, but we don't
for
know
Yeah.
where that's
for
going to be once the family plans come out.
Yeah. But
yeah.
still, that's the thing though, is they're especially with Game Pass, at least Ultimate, they've been adding a lot of stuff to that outside of just the games you're getting that are actually worth the benefit, of spending that extra couple of more dollars a month, like lately, like I said, with the free HBO, or the free Spotify for a couple of months, or the free this, or the free expansions of games, and all this exclusive skin content for certain games that you can only get through through Game Pass Ultimate, or this or that. Like, they're adding a lot of stuff that even outside of just the games that we're getting to play now, you're getting a lot more other stuff as well that you can fully take advantage of and save, and you're saving that money. That's more and more of that money you're paying a month being ticked down. And now you only have to finish one $70 game, and you've basically paid for it.
Real quick, I keep hearing you have to finish, you have to beat. I think the problem is anytime this conversation pops up on social media and podcasts, the problem is it's popping up in a podcast because we look at this from people who are balls deep in the video games. Let's be honest. We're not looking at this as Mr. John Q. Public, casual gamer who plays 4 games, who's outside. It's like, I think we're so into the industry because so let's be honest, we're doing a podcast. We're passionate about video games, but I think a lot of times this conversation comes up because everybody forgets the that deep into, like, people who just play video games casually all the time.
Well,
that's a whole market, and I think that gets forgotten about a lot.
I think that's fine, but the thing about it is, definitely with games, our goal is to finish a game, to see it through, and I'm talking about mostly like campaign stuff, solo stuff. Trying to see that game through all the way. Yes,
but you're talking to a guy who's been playing Dragon Quest 11 for 4 years. I mean,
I'm guilty of jumping around games, but I purchase my games. I don't do no subscription service. I mean, I do PlayStation Plus, like the basic one. And I do like Xbox Live, so I can have online. Right. So I do that basic stuff right there. But all my games I buy, and I sometimes jump around here and there. If I had Game Pass, and I did have Game Pass at one time, I was trying to beat as many games as I had on this service. Because my thing is, even though it's a free trial for me, I'm trying to beat as many games as I can. If I can't beat it, then I'll end up picking it up and stuff. My goal is, yes, I have all this offering of games, but my goal should be, I need to start completing games on there. But
I would disagree with you. You know what your goal should be? Have fun. That's your goal.
Yeah, have fun.
I mean, for you, beating every as many games you can is fun. But for Mr. I bought someone who, I'm getting back into video games. I bought an Xbox. I'm just going to play whatever I want. I see. I think
I don't want to have to buy games.
We actually have a banter from Laurent. He wrote how important it is to finish a game. So if everybody want to check that out, it's on bossrush.net. Before we move on, because Josh, it's about to be your turn to pick a trend. Matt, I yelled at Luke yesterday because he was like, "I'm on spring break and I need to find something to watch," and I said, "Clear as throat. How about you finish some GD games on Game Pass?" And he was just like, I was just like, "You talk about this." I was just making fun of him. Yeah. I was just getting on him and stuff. I was just like, "Look, you're on spring break. You got time to finish some games. I'm gonna need you, Luke Lore of EXP Cast. Shout out to him and his crew. I'm gonna need you to finish some games off of Game Pass, and I'm gonna need you to discuss them. Good sir. Love you, Luke.
You just threw him under the bus. I'm gonna text him right now. You threw him under the bus.
Oh, shoot, please. Luke is gonna get me. Luke is gonna get me because of E3. I'm not E3. All the questions that I asked and everything. But Josh, what is your trending topic that you would like to discuss?
So, I mean, we talked about it before we came on, but I'm not going to go that way. I found this really interesting, and I guess since we're talking about video game streaming services, the one that I found really interesting is more on the TV show movie streaming, where HBO Max and Discovery Plus have now merged to create Max. Like, come on, that name, really? We're going to go with Max?
Yeah, that was weird. Like
But
I've been seeing some trailers that just says by Max. Like when did they drop the HBO part of it?
it's so what's coming up in May, Discovery, which Warner Brothers Discovery. I mean, Discovery Channel had their own streaming service, which I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it has some stuff. There's a documentary on there about a dude who mailed himself out of prison 3 times, and just could not stay in prison. So I mean, they got some stuff, but I mean, HBO Max is what your moneymaker is there. They're combining the two services and making a joint one, just calling it Max. Which I
Mm-hmm.
mean, HBO Max was always just Warner Brothers streaming service. It had HBO shows, but it also had a lot of Warner Brothers movies and shows and stuff like that that never aired on HBO originally. But I find this interesting because I mean we're so stretched on streaming services that I like it when I see these services start to congeal and to minimize a little bit because you've got Hulu and Disney Plus now have a bundle. Um,
To be fair,
people like
Hulu's like still halfway is like 50% owned by Disney.
right. Well, but I mean, like they stuck them together now. You don't have to. You can buy them separate, but it makes more sense to do the bundle because you get those, and whether you use it or not, you get ESPN Plus for free, essentially. You've got what's the other one? This one might matter more to me and sounds like to Jesse, but WWE Network merged with Peacock, so there was two separate streaming services that are now in one. I'd like to see this happen a little bit more. I know it won't, but I'd like to see them congeal because I think there's a lot of money. If, say, Netflix and Paramount Plus had a joint venture or something like that, I'd like to see these streaming services because it's just everybody's got a streaming service now, and it's so hard, and everybody's pulling the content off of everywhere else. I mean, I don't think Peacock has all of its NBC stuff yet because
Mm-mm.
some of it's still under um, contract with Netflix or Hulu. Like it took Disney till now to get all of its stuff off of other streaming services. So I mean, it's a mess. But I find this merger a really interesting um, way to go, just because I think there's some. I don't know if it's going to lead to anything else in the future, but I do think streaming is on the verge of starting to do some changes here. I don't know what that looks like, but I do think we're going to start seeing some the days of them stretching too thin, I think, are starting to. They're realizing we can maybe up $5 a month and add a whole new service into this to do that this way. That's what I don't know. I don't know what you guys thought of the merger. If you had any thoughts on where that's going at all.
Well, I know there was rumblings of it because I think HBO Max or whoever, like there was a new president or someone that came in, and I know that a lot of shows was getting canceled and taken off the service and stuff. Even with Cartoon Network stuff was getting taken off of like HBO Max, and so people were wondering like, why are these shows getting taken off? And their problems was like, if a show gets taken off these streaming platforms, if there's no DVD or Blu-ray or season thing that is available for people to go out and buy and everything, or if you can't get them off of like Amazon Prime or Apple or whatever, if there's no way to get a downloadable or physical copy, if that thing needs to stream, that's it. You'll never be able to see it unless they put it back on and everything. And so I know that was kind of the worrisome and the problem with it. Now with this merger, I really don't see what is going to come out from it. Is it going to be Discovery Channel stuff with HBO stuff? So you get because they just announced like a new Potter like Hogwarts TV show that we knew was in the works, but I guess they just did the official announcement today. Um, like, are we going to see that, and then the next thing you know, we'll see a documentary on like seagulls or something, like on the
I think
service?
it's
Like,
I think it's going to be a lot like how if you look on Disney Plus, they have like a National Geographics tab. So I think basically what they're going to do is, and if you go on HBO now, they have like a DC tab, they have a Warner Brothers, they have an HBO Originals tab. I think all this does is add another tab in there and says, here's Discovery Channel stuff, which, I mean, again, there's not much on there, but I do think having them all in one place does help broaden what they could do. Because now you're not, if you're Warner Brothers Discovery, you're not
So
worrying
that air,
about.
and so that everybody know we're talking about original content, not movies or stuff that's already been made or TV shows that from the past have been made. We're talking about up to date, like original content.
Well,
Just to make
yeah,
sure.
because I think Discovery mainly its thing is documentaries, probably nature documentaries. But think about it, HBO puts out some really good documentaries, be them sports or other. They put out that one about Michael Jackson a couple of years ago that everybody got everybody talking about things. They have just very good. You put those two. You put those two entities together in the same thing. You have a lot of good collaborative efforts that you could do down the road because now rather than having Discovery, I don't know where Discovery's at. I'm just doing a hypothetical. Rather than having Discovery out in New York City and HBO out in Los Angeles, now you bring them together and they're operating as one streaming
Unit.
service, one entity, rather than two separate things. In the way that Marvel, Lucasfilms, Disney, Pixar all operate under the Disney umbrella.
Jesse, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm I agree. I agree with Josh that like I do like the idea of some of this stuff merging because yeah, like I'm getting sick of having to download like 15 different apps to watch stuff. Like, like I mean, we do have like where I think it's like Hulu and maybe Amazon or something where you can log into your like account of this app in that, and then it can kind of somewhat play some of the stuff from that app in one app, but I'm just kind of like when do we just go back to basically having cable TV again where you just pay for what you want, and then that's the only stuff that you can watch for. I mean, it's just gonna circle like I mean, is that what's gonna happen? Is eventually it's just gonna circle right back to where we were, but just in a different form. Like I don't know, but it is getting ridiculous. It's almost like they did that on purpose. It's like, let's make an app for like every couple of things so then we really just annoy the shit out of people. So then they think maybe we were better off having it all on one thing and we just paid for what services we wanted.
Well, and I know that mindset, and this is what is interesting. Netflix cracked this pretty early on in the game. They we're talking about what 2012, 2013, well before anybody else had it figured out. I mean, Hulu was doing stuff late
Yeah.
2000s, but Netflix had it figured out. So at that point, it
Mhm.
became everybody's chasing Netflix,
Well,
and now Netflix is a very much a they're not the top tier anymore. I would argue.
what
I think
Mhm.
they perfected things over, but when you're talking about original content, you're talking HBO, you're talking Disney Plus. Netflix kind of falls by that wayside. So now that we've passed Netflix in this, I think it gets to a point where they're kind of like, well, now what do we do?
yeah,
We've chased this golden goose for so long. Now what do we
Mhm.
do? And I think that's where we get the merging. Sorry, Matt.
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Here's what's happening. Let's be honest. Netflix was quote unquote the pioneer in it. Netflix was already doing movies. They had the physical DVDs. They switched to streaming. They started making money. Despite the fact everyone says, "Oh, they're losing money," Netflix is actually profitable. Um, everyone's
Thanks to
chasing it.
Nintendo.
So it's like anything else. When somebody starts making money, someone's going to try to copy it, and all you're going to have is stuff's going to keep jumping from service to service. Because I have in this house we have Netflix, not for much longer probably. We have Amazon Prime, but it's only because we have it for the shopping portion. The video and the TV show comes with it, and only recently we got Hulu and Disney Plus. I'm not going to go get Peacock. I'm not going to go to that because the whole deal with, quote, cutting cable was not to pay $110 a month to have all these shows to watch. And how much is it going to cost you if you start getting Peacock, HBO Max, Prime, Hulu, Disney Plus? Yes, I know they got the packages, but you're going to, if you want everything, you're going to be spending $100 and some a month. And there's
On
just
top
way
of
too
having
much
to make sure
content.
that you have, on top of making sure that you have an internet service that's not going to charge your
Exactly.
arm and a leg.
In addition to that, so I mean, I don't know. It's just I think what's happening. Somebody made a profit, and everyone's emulating it. So as things change, as different companies say, "Oh, we're going to try this," they're going to take a gamble, and maybe that's not as profitable or whatever. Maybe I don't know the situation. Discovery was with Disney Plus. Maybe they had signed a contract for 5 years. Well, now it goes back up for bid, and who's going to pay? They're going to go to who's going to pay the highest price. So, but the thing is,
And that's why.
it's just
Oh,
I don't know. With the streaming services, I know you look at original content, everything, but still, the original content's what they try to entice you to come to their service. But
right.
other than
And
that, they're
and
all
I
the
think
same.
that's why DVDs right now or Blu-rays of those TV shows after the series wrapped up, why they are important when you go to Target and you see an original show that was on Netflix now on Blu-ray and stuff. Like, it's important to get that because what if Netflix does decide to pull it? Look at The Last of Us on Max. It came out, it showed this whole season. In a couple of months, the whole season is going to be out on Blu-ray and DVD. So yes, people got the privilege to have the first time experience, but people who don't subscribe to any of that, they'll now just be able to pay just one fee and be able to watch that whole show.
Even better, because I don't have HBO Plus. I can't wait till they come to the library so I can get them for free and watch them.
Right. And the way that people are spoiling a lot of these TV shows, like, it's even hard to be on social media to even watch them because folks are spoiling them back and forth. So it's
IGN's even spoiling stuff on the Mando. They're putting full episode reviews the day they come out.
Which I could completely understand on why they do that.
I mean, we do that over here at Boss Rush.
I wasn't going to say anything.
No, we're part of the problem.
But when we do our reviews for Boss Rush A, we definitely buy our stuff and we watch it and then put out and then write it up. And then
but I bet you don't put any of the spoilers in your post. Like if you promote it on Twitter, you can say, "Here's a review of this." There's other companies they got stuff that's spoilers in their Twitter posts, and it's like,
and that drives me crazy because I'm running our Mando season review on Boss Rush, and I tell the writers, I'm like, you guys don't put your spoilers in the lead, in the intro paragraph, whatever. Stick that spoiler tag in there and then do it below. Make them click into it and scroll down before you're spoiling anything. And that's my approach. I know Stephanie does the same thing when she was doing The Last of Us. So I mean, that's the way to do it because here's the thing too. A lot of these I forget where I read it, but a lot of these companies are producing shows with the mindset that the viewer is on their phone as well as watching. It's not like when I was watching Lost or The Office back in the late 2000s, where that was all I did. I sat there and I watched. Now they're competing. They're trying to make these shows in little spurts so that they can grab the attention off the phone for 5 minutes, give some lull. It's written differently than it used to be, and that's why you're getting a lot of these spoilers, I think, on there. And TV viewing has changed a lot. And I know I'm younger than you guys are, and I kind of saw this, change when I was in high school. But I mean, it's TV viewing is just so much different than that's what that writer's strike was about in '07. Like they wanted residuals from streaming. The writers wanted residuals from streaming, and the companies at the time were like, "What are you talking about streaming? Nobody's going to pay to go watch webisodes of The Office on NBC.com." Lo and behold, 5 years later, Netflix is starting to pull in money, and the writers are getting their money from it. So it's just, to me, it's an interesting conversation of how television viewing, movie viewing, really, for that, the pandemic sped that up, but
Yeah.
people don't.
Yeah.
Ask Corey, ask the boss man. He doesn't like to go to the movie theater. He'd rather watch it at home. And there's a lot of people who I think are in that boat. They'd rather watch a new movie. They'd rather go see the Super Mario movie at home. Personally, I like the theater, but there's a lot who don't.
I'd love to go to the theater, but like if I miss it, I still, because to me it's, yes, I do love streaming for movies that are international or TV shows that's international that I can't buy. But literally, I still buy my Blu-ray or my 4K of movies.
But you're the exception to the rule.
I know.
You do. You just realize. Just remember. I prefer physical over digital, but I'm gonna go with whatever's cheaper because I got three. I got three kids I gotta pay for, and I got a mortgage, and
yeah, and we don't have space to be filling up with physical things because the kids are gonna do that,
or they're gonna break it, or lose it, or steal it.
Yeah. It's just there's no need for it anymore.
I mean, and I remember I have these old.
There's a niche for it, but there's not a need.
Right, and it's just people like conveniency. If you're watching Friends and you decide you don't want to watch Friends anymore, you don't got to get up from the TV.
You mean I don't have to pull out disc 6 so I can watch the next couple of episodes?
Right. I mean, that's the thing. That's why this streaming is so well, is we've gotten so lazy in the past 15 years that we don't want to get up and change it. And I include myself in that.
Well, look at discless consoles. I mean, come on, same idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a fascinating shift. And being one, and this is something too, being somebody who studied journalism, written and broadcast, they're shifting how you present the news because of that. They're trying to chase that. I mean, people don't watch 3-hour football games like they used to. So you're trying to package stuff in that way. It's just the attention spans have shrank, and whether it's sports or whether it's these streaming services or whatever it is, they're trying to capitalize on that. And I think we're at another turning point, and I just don't know where it goes, but I'm interested to see where it does.
Okay. Well, we're going to get into my trending topic, and it's all about Bethesda. It was revealed that Redfall, the 4-player co-op shooter from Arcane Studios, will add the 60 frames per second performance mode at a later date. So anyone who will be playing this game on their Series X or S, they will be getting 4K at 30 frames per second. If you're playing on Series S, you would get at 1440p. I think I'm still at the same 30 frames per second. And people lost their mind. They were just like, you need to hold Microsoft accountable for this. And look, you need to hold Microsoft and Sony accountable for saying that these systems are powerful. You can get up to 100 frames per second. They didn't. I was told that they never promised that all games would be at 60 frames per second. But it's part of their marketing scheme to get you to buy these consoles. We are in the 3rd year of these consoles. Games should be at 60 frames per second. But it may not always be that because of the performance of the development. They may have some hiccups, so that stuff may come down the line and stuff. It really feels like if you want 60 frames per second at this time, your graphics have to be a different look than it is with the graphics that's trying to bring this realism. Because even though Unreal Engine 5 may be able to produce these beautiful looking games, they never said that this will all be running at 60 frames per second. Hi-Fi Rush can run at 60 because it's an animated cartoon style, a hand-drawn style. So it's not pushing the system that something like Dead Space or something like Gears 5 is pushing on these systems. And I'm just using those because they have a more realistic look to them. Matt, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean they hit that up, but yeah, sorry. As someone who sits there and says like, I have a Series X, I didn't buy it, I want it. All right, I don't know. Just the generation gaps of consoles is not what it used to be. The jump from an NES to a Genesis or a Super Nintendo was amazing. You went from 8 to 16 bits. The jump from that generation to the next. I'm gonna stick it to Nintendo. I'm gonna say it as Nintendo because that's the one most people know. From the NES to the Super Nintendo to the N64. I mean, that's 16 to 64 bits. I mean, from the 64 to the GameCube, it's not the same anymore. Now they're pushing these products out. The thing is these high end. I'm going to say high end, but the Series X, yes, it can do 120 frames, but how many people actually have a monitor or television that can actually do 120 frames? The technology for these consoles is actually greater than most of the TVs and at a reasonable price. Because yes, the Xbox is this much, but how much is a 4K TV? Yes, they are probably half the price now this year than what they were 4 or 5 years ago. I mean,
I think the real funny part is, and me and Jesse, we had this discussion before, even on AX. And I'm going to say discussion because I think we argue a little bit.
Were you calling each other names?
No, that if you're going to say that you got the most powerful console on the market, then and I told Jesse this, I'm like, you should be able to have performance and resolution at the same time. They should both be running at the same time. You shouldn't have to have the option where you have to choose.
But the thing is,
do you want frame rate or do you want performance?
The problem is, I think
is it resolution? I think.
Yeah, resolution performance. But the thing is, I think it may be the most powerful console, but they haven't been able to optimize it yet in terms of for game design. I mean, yes, Redfall is a Microsoft first-party game. But Arcane just joined Microsoft how long ago?
3 years ago.
So 3 years? All right. So my argument, that one's probably a little invalid. But still, I think the technology of these machines is actually going greater.
I should say.
But still, I think the technology in the machines is actually greater than what the game designers been able to do. I'm wondering if it's just
that's always been the case. Like the games always look better at the end of a generation, right? Like it's I think that's the thing is you can't prove that your console is more powerful right in the beginning of its release because that's never been the case.
It's more powerful, but it's not. But if the games aren't optimized to it.
But I think this is the problem is when you use that as a marketing ploy to get people in and they're not seeing it. Why, just like you guys said, why are you saying that it's powerful to do this, but it's not? I think Nintendo does it right when they don't talk tech specs in promoting their platform.
That's why
for their console. And I think if Microsoft and Sony, I think you could get around saying things to get people into it and then show off the games so it could show off what the system could do. A lot of people don't care about tech specs, but when you start using that to sell your system and the companies can't hit it, if your first party cannot hit the tech specs, that's a problem.
We're seeing the same thing again it's console wars again. It's no different between Nintendo and Sega. They were doing the same thing in the 90s. It's the same thing between Microsoft and Sony now. It's marketing. It's all about marketing. Period. I know you're saying, it should hit 60 frames. Redfall has never said they'd be at 60 frames when it came out.
Right.
But the thing is, you're upset about something that Redfall never promised.
Not me.
I'm sorry. When I say
I'm fine.
When I say you, I mean the royal you. But like people are upset. It's like it's like what I said about Sony. They never said their first party games would be permanently on PS Plus. I think the problem comes more to, I'm going to push this because I'm an old man, to social media. People get this idea they want it this way, and if it's not, it's a problem.
Yeah.
People are
It's
expecting things that are never said or never promised.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
that, like even Elden Ring, like people weren't even buying the PlayStation 5 version. They was buying the PlayStation 4 because that was the only version you could play 60 frames on PS5. And like it amazes me that I guess with some third party and with some first party developers is that you tell a company what you all want for it. So when they give it to you, are you learning the system? Is it going to take you a long time to learn the system, to optimize games and things? Because my thing is this: is that you give them everything you want, but in return, most of the stuff that you're showing is just CG trailers. That may not actually reflect what's going to be in the game and stuff. You know.
but I mean, but the thing is, look at this. Everyone's sitting there saying games are now $70 a game. All right, that is the MSRP, general AAA game. But the thing is, as much as you sit there and you want this, I don't know how much of a hit they're taking to a point. I mean, look at how fast Ubisoft, as we said before, discounts games. But they still got deadlines to meet. We don't know what it takes to take this to run from 60 to 30 frames. And let's be honest, as much as you can notice the distance between 30 to 60 frames, you'll notice it a little. At the same time, you for the what is behind the science, your eye can't see more than 120 frames anyways.
And I think a lot of people just mad because Arcane and Bethesda
it's because it's the internet. It's because it's the internet. Of course. It's the internet.
Like a lot of people are not tech savvy. You don't care about frames per second, really. Like you said earlier, Matt, that unless the game is fun, that's good.
I don't care.
To me, I texted in our writing chat. I was just like, as long as this game is not the equivalent to Mortal Kombat Trilogy on PS1, where it played okay with the loadings, and then after 35 minutes, the game crashed. Like, I don't want that technical failure to happen to that game where it keeps crashing. It's a mess.
But they can fix that now. That's the only difference. They can put a patch out. That's a big difference.
The other one was just like it was set in the game, so no matter what system you bought from, even the N64 version crashed. Like
now you can go to bed. Now you can go to bed and it will be fixed in the morning.
No, it was always the same. Well,
unless it's Scarlet and Violet.
Yes. The day one patch. Like I said, man, what they did with Xenoblade Chronicles X was I'm glad that Nintendo let everybody download the patch first before the game came out. So everybody was about to crash the eShop because they downloaded the patch. And then when the game got released, it was just like, oh, we recognize the patch. Let's run the game. So yeah, I just don't know why people got upset about this. Like you said, Matt, console wars. People should blame Microsoft, and I'm like, to me, I just want the game to run. 30 frames is fine with me. I have no problem with it. I just want to make sure that, when the game came out, because right now people are using that to see this game is going to fail or it's not going to be fun and stuff. I'm like, frame rate doesn't affect a game like that. It's there. Trust me, there's been some games that have some terrible frame rates, and some people gave that game a praise.
GoldenEye. Originally, but is Redfall coming to? I mean, it's a Microsoft game. Is it coming to PC day one?
It is. I think right now, it's just Series X. It's no PC.
So that one's not. So that one's gonna. I probably put my money on it. That 60 frame per second fix will come when the PC version comes out, or before. Because it's a Microsoft game. It's going to come to PC.
Yeah, right now it just says Oh, it is PC. Play solo squad to take on Deadly Vampires, Xbox Series X and S, and PC.
So what's the
Day one on
PC?
Game Pass, May 2nd.
So what's the PC
So
version running at?
they don't tell. They only announced what the console versions were, the Xbox consoles. So we don't know anything about PC. So probably because until they get the specs for PC, like you know how they be like, what all you need to get the game running. I think once they release that, people could just up the graphics card or whatever and have it at 120 or 60 or whatever, which there's
Yeah,
some
they
people
they
might
got
do.
the system requirements on Steam right now. I'm looking, but that's
Oh,
always just basis just to run this. That's never for optimized.
for us. Josh, any thoughts about this? I'm sorry.
No. Tech stuff always kind of sits outside of my wheelhouse. I mean, I've always been of the impression if it runs great, because I mean the
Mm-hmm.
Switch doesn't hit some of these 60. It doesn't hit 60 frames per second. But look at what Xenoblade Chronicles 3 did. It looks amazing on the Switch. Breath of the Wild, for what it accomplished, is looks still great on the Switch. So for me, I mean, I don't. I mean, I can pick up on if it, but if the game runs well, if it, I think there's something to be said to working within your limitations that really adds to creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And Xenoblade and Breath of the Wild and probably Tears of the Kingdom are gonna do that too. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom's coming out on a device that was new what was that, 6 years ago, and they're
Mm-hmm.
still going to look good. So I think at the end of the day, as long as it's fun, that's all that matters to me. So yeah, but the tech stuff's really outside of my
And I know
wheelhouse.
me and you, Jesse, when we seen Redfall at E3, we were just like, "Oh, this is our." I think we said it was our game of the Microsoft show because we both were like, "Oh, we're getting this day one. We're playing this because it looked really cool as a
Hmm.
CGI trailer. We didn't like really see
Well,
gameplay and stuff."
well, and for me, it was always about the characters. Like, anytime there's a
Yeah.
potential for a game to have characters that you can fall in love with, even if there's like, even if it is more of an online per se based game or whatever, which we already know there's going to be more of a story plot and like
Mm-hmm.
character building going on in the game. It's not going to just be an online game like we think, or kind of like people were thinking at first. But yeah, like for me, like I just really liked the characters. Like that's what sold it for me is I wanted more of those characters. I want to know more about those characters. And like to me, if you can show a CG trailer and yeah, okay, well, it sucks. I would like to see actual gameplay. But if you're
Mm-hmm.
still selling me on characters, like in my opinion, that's worth a lot these days. You know.
And like it looks fun. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. It looks fun. Like I've already pre-ordered it from Best Buy. Like it has my $70. I'm at the fact that me and Corey had this discussion because the game is not on the disc and stuff. And I was just like, well, I wanted the physical. So a physical version came out, and I went and pre-ordered it and stuff. So I'm excited for Redfall. I don't know what the big woo ha ha or people are upset at Microsoft Arcade. If you don't want to play it, don't play it. If you have Game Pass, give it a go. If it's your cup of tea, if you want to go buy it, go out and buy it. Just like it's a big major game for Xbox, and I hope to see more about it. And I can't wait to hop on. Me, I'm probably gonna hit Jesse on a Saturday or Sunday, be like, get on Redfall. I need a sniper. It's so but everybody, that's gonna be pointed out. Now it's time for our boss rush banter. Jesse, he has our boss rush banter. So what is our topic tonight?
Okay, well, I did end up picking something that that Josh, who's on the show, did write. But I'm curious. I'm curious to see like what everyone else's pick is. But uh, again, yeah, you can go to bossrush.com or .net, sorry.
Yeah.
And Josh, again, who's with us right now, he had wrote a banter. Where is your favorite relaxing spot in gaming? So what's one of your favorite relaxing spots in the video game world? As for, like, any game that you choose, like which game has the most relaxing spot in it?
Man, huh.
Can I?
I'll go
So
I
first
for
could.
since I wrote the
Okay,
thing.
yeah. You might as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then I'll go next.
I'll give Matt and Ed some time to think. But for me, I love the beach. Beach is always. I mean, I grew up in Southern California. I love going to the beach. So hot take from me. I really like Super Mario Sunshine, and I think a lot of those locations look
Mhm.
so relaxing. In particular, the one that's that beach. It's called Serena Beach. It's got the hotel, and it's at sunset. Like that's the type of place I would list if I was going to a tropical island to go hang out. I'd wanna go there. That would be it. And kind of in that same vein, Laurelin Village on in Breath of the Wild is one that I really would love to hang out in. But I love the coast. I love on a sunny day at the beach. When I went out to Disneyland with my family last September, we got to spend some time at the beach, and man, I just you could stick me on a beach for a week, and I would just be thrilled to be there. So my relaxing spots tend to be that. I don't think I put this one in there, but I do like that resort town on Final Fantasy VII, Costa del Sol.
Oh,
Despite
okay. Yep.
despite the crazy doctor, just kind of well, that was random. I'm just like going to that game, and then the crazy doctor who's like committing genocidal experiments is just having a vacation out on the beach. So
Doctor
no,
Death.
I anywhere that's got a beach, I'm a fan of, and Super Mario Sunshine is kind of the one that pops out mainly. But yeah, those are my spots.
Okay. Well, and
Okay.
I'll go, like, so it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. So, like, how you've kind of grew up, like around beaches and stuff like that, and so that's kind of your safe or relaxing spot. Like I definitely would say, like, so this is just kind of an offshoot. I have an actual answer for this, but I do tend to like being in Wisconsin, and we've got like a lot of nature preserves and wooded areas and stuff. I do like, I think that's why um I love Far Cry 5 so much. I love being out in the woods and in those games, and just like having
Mhm.
random ass animals running, through, and deer and just like bears
So
and
wait,
like all the,
bears running
like,
through is
being able to go.
relaxing for you.
Well, no, I just mean, like, being around nature, like, is
I know. I'm
relaxing for
just
me. Like, yeah, yeah, no, like, yeah, if there was a bear running around towards me, yeah, I definitely would be the opposite of relaxed. but but yeah, like, like, I do find it relaxing, like, games where you can fish and stuff like that, like, because that's, like, I grew up with that, doing those things to relax. But for the sake of this question, though, I would have to pick the mansion in the original Tomb Raider game. Like, just being able to just go and like run around in the mansion, and practice all your like climbing, and like that was always the mansion part of being able to go in her house was always something that I remember looking forward to in those original Tomb Raider games, is like being able to go into her house, and like, like, what's different in this game now, like what rooms or what things did they add in the mansion on this game, like, I just remember that was like always a fun little like experience that you got to do outside of the game. So, like, I have fond memories of getting that chance to go in the mansions in the Tomb Raider games. So that would be mine, I think.
Matt, I'll let you go first.
all right. Mine. It's gonna seem a little cliche just because I play the game so much. because I'm someone who one of my favorite things in real life, especially when the summer hits, is when we go camping. And I'm not roughing it tent camper. We got a hybrid camper, but my favorite thing is just sit by the campfire, look up at the sky without all the light pollution, have an adult tasty beverage sitting by the fire. It's so relaxing just hearing all the crickets, the nature, hearing the popping in the wood of the fire. And because of that, and just the biggest thing is just looking up. And there's different games I could pick for different things that relaxes me.
Dark
But if I was
Souls.
to realistically pick something, I hate to say it'd be Sea of Thieves. And the biggest thing is because at night in that game, do I want to be on a ship sailing it with the rough ocean? No. But in that game, when they have the northern lights in the sky, there's more. Like when I was down in the Bahamas and I saw more stars than I'll ever see in my entire life because there was no light pollution. It's beautiful. It's relaxing. And I was trying to look up on my phone right now. I picked it up. Sea of Thieves actually put out an album. It's on Spotify and all that, of just the sounds of birds and stuff, like the sound of the beach and the water. In real life, I don't like the beach. I'm not the world's strongest swimmer. I hate having sand all up everywhere constantly. But when you don't have to deal with the sand in that, but just the sound of the waves, seeing the sky with all the stars, it's just, I don't know. There's just something about it. And I'll be honest, in that game, I have actually gone at times, as long as you don't have to worry about skeletons or the phantoms. That's what's made it harder since then, when the phantoms and the ocean crawlers pop up. But if you can find an island and get to it, and you just sit there and just look up at the sky in the game when it's nighttime and just listen to the sounds of the water and the birds, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite in that vein is Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one. And I think I like not just that there's a bunch of stars and just the clear sky, but that whole game, because that game takes place on two large beings that have been fighting, and so no matter where you're at in that game, you see these a part of these beings up in the sky. So it's kind of a haunting but relaxing kind of feel. So at night when you're going, maybe you're up on the Bionis' shoulder or something, and you can see the sword from the Mechanis just in the sky. It's just, to me, I totally get that, Matt, because that's would I want to be in that world with all those machines and everything? No, but I love just taking a moment to appreciate, man, those skies. And I think that kind of goes with Jesse's as well with nature. I mean, these games do such a good job at immersing you with these little details of the sky, or Breath of the Wild is such ambient noise the entire time. You go wander through the mountains, and yeah, there's music playing, but it's so subtle that it's more just you hear the leaves rustling and the birds tweeting, or you hear the river running in the distance. It's just,
and then a dragon appears in the sky, and you're just like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, dude, that one threw me off when I was in the ice in the Hebra area in the snowfields, and I'm like, what is that thing? And I just go over, and it just starts shooting fire at me, and it's no, I don't know. But it's games that do that are just so relaxed. I mean, I'm experiencing this with Horizon Zero Dawn. Take a minute in the middle of the game to just look up at the sky, and it's just gorgeous. I mean, ignoring all the monsters, but yeah, no, I do like nature. Nature points in games.
You just like the mechanical dinosaurs in nature, right?
Wow. Well, so for me, it's going to be so there's 3 games I'm going to mention, and 2 of them are kind of okay, I understand. One of the games you're going to be wait, what? So the one game that's just what is Secret of Mana? And I love being on Flammy, moving around.
Really?
But I love being on Flammy, just moving around into the sky. But when he lands in where the kingdom is full of ice and you fight Santa Claus and everything, it's because of the music being so relaxing.
Yeah, that is some of the best. Sorry, I didn't
Yes,
mean.
just that do do do, and it's so nice. It's so crisp on the Super Nintendo. Because if people didn't know, Secret of Mana was supposed to be on the PlayStation CD, the Nintendo PlayStation CD, which would have been the Super Nintendo CD player. And they had to scrap the game and move everything to a cartridge. Because it was going to have a CD like soundtrack with a real orchestra and everything to do that soundtrack. But they had to scrap it. So I love that one. My second one is Sleeping Dogs. I love driving and sleeping dogs. It's just listening to the hip hop station and the classic station. And plus, you have to drive on the other side of the road, so you're not used to driving like you're an American. And my last game, which is still another driving game, Forza Horizon 4. I love driving in Europe, playing the dance station, listen to the house music and everything. I found a lot of soundtrack music that I still listen to now because of that game. And just literally, I could spend close to just 45 minutes of just driving in that game. Even though I've been in that whole area way before, I feel like there's still stuff that I can discover in that game. Even when I do some of the challenges stuff, I would throw in Forza Horizon 4 just to drive. Even and it sucks sometimes because my job plays some of the same music and I'd be like, dang it, now I need to throw in Forza and literally just would drive and stuff. And I'll even change like my outfits. I'll even change the cars up and everything and literally go for a drive and listen to that whole soundtrack for it. So that's kind of my relaxation in video games. I was gonna say Animal Crossing, because nothing like sitting outside listening to KK Slider and everything with his jams on Saturday nights. But no, but yes, Secret of Mana, Sleeping Dogs, and Forza Horizon 4 are mine.
Say if I could throw an honorable mention in that, the other evergreen game I can never get completely pulled away from, Stardew Valley, specifically in the mine, either any time in the winter or the mines. Despite the fact you're fighting those monsters, if you're gonna go off music, that mine music is so relaxing. It's amazing.
I'm thinking of installing it back on my Series X and I'm giving it a play. So many people love that game, and it's just
It's so
I have it.
relaxing.
I have the physical, and I want to just get back into it.
It's on Game Pass. You know that thing you don't like, so.
I've already bought the game before it came on Game Pass. So, Jesse, do you have an honorable mention?
No, I think that's like I said, like I do like a lot of like when a game can do the forests and yeah, like you totally get immersed in that and really like feel like you're trudging through this area and like you know, but yeah, I like no, that's pretty much it.
What about you, Josh? Any honorable mention?
I'll throw out, and this might seem counterintuitive, but Metroid Prime, the snow area in particular. I mean, that is some relaxing music. You know, you got enemies, and later on in that area, there's like a pirate lab that gets a little bit more chaotic. But the actual ice fields itself are pretty relaxing, and it helps to the way that that game kind of pulls you through. You're coming out of the lava caverns. So like you're
Mm-hmm.
that's like the music's kind of roaring at that point. It's the fire's stressful, all that stuff, and then you come out in the snowfield and the music's just kind of some. It feels like I don't think it is, but it sounds like piano music. It's real calm. The snow's lightly falling. It's real quiet in that area, and it's kind of a nice little escape from what's largely a very stressful game. And I think, in my opinion, Metroid Prime is one of the best games that immerses you into its world. And this level in particular is one that you have all the stress and anxiety of every other part of that game, but that little section of the snowfield right up until you get to that dinosaur with its ice picks out of its back. It's pretty relaxing before that. So there's my honorable mention.
My honorable mention is a tour, Yoshi's Woody World and Yoshi's Crafted World. Because of how cute those games are, the music is popping. The music's Yoshi's Woody World, I think, is World 5 or World 6. You listen to that and you're like, oh, that's good. There is a DJ who took that music, added some drums to make it a hip hop track, and it's so good. But yeah, Yoshi's Woody World, Yoshi's Crafted World, just the design of those games. Yeah, the challenge is there, and depending on you trying to get everything, but it's so relaxing being in that world and listening to that music. So, thank you, Jesse, for that banter. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Matt. Matt, if you want to go ahead and plug where people can find you, go right ahead.
If you want to find me, just jump on the old tweeters at Skinny Matt K. That's the easiest way to find me. And then from there, you can find the other stuff I do, such as the Backlog Busters. Hopefully, I can plug this better this time. It's a podcast where a bunch of us talk about trying to actually complete our backlogs. As I said before, everyone else works on beating games. I, on the other hand, do not. And also, you can kind of keep track when I try to stream, usually on Sunday nights while we're at Twitch. So all that information, just follow me at Twitter at SkinnyMattK, and you can find all that information.
All right. Well, once again, thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Matt. I have been your host, Eddie V. Everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next time on Jump Off Point. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.